Oh, hi, you're listening to Service from Hell, a podcast featuring people that are currently in customer service positions or the lucky few that got out and all of the good, bad, and infinitely irritating things that go along with that work. I'm actor and comic Kate Gaffney, and I'm uniquely qualified to discuss this as I used to work at a very busy and very popular comedy club in Los Angeles, and at least one of you listening right now has probably grabbed me and told me you were ready to order when I was running around like a crazy person. So, let's eat! Little disclaimer, I have COVID and I'm going to sound like that, but let's welcome our guest anyway. I'd like to welcome our guest, comic and actor Shain Brenden. When a sandstorm left his unit stranded in Afghanistan on Christmas Day, y'all, Portland favorite and military veteran Shain Brenden did his first set during an impromptu talent show. I have so many questions. He's since traded in his uniform for a microphone and for over a decade has been featured on Don't Tell Comedy on Sirius XM and at various comedy clubs and festivals all around the country. I met Shain in real time right now after actually seeing a lot of his clips on Instagram and finding them very funny, and he has a special coming out either way pretty funny, and we're going to talk about that. So Shain, how hard is it to be from where a member of NSYNC is from, and how often did comedy make it really hard, like a really hard job in Afghanistan, better because you were funny? What made you come up with the name of your album? You have to remember all those questions. Tell us everything. Yeah.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Okay, let's see. What's it like to be the second most famous person from Millington, Tennessee? I'm a close second after old JT. Me and Justin Timberlake are from the same little city, Millington, right outside of Memphis. I'm sure he talks about it being from the same city as me.
Yeah.
When he's on podcasts too.
He mentions you a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I never actually met the guy. His grandfather was my substitute teacher from 4th grade all the way up through high school. Shout out to Grandpa Timberlake. And it was dope because everybody knew when he was going to sub the class, you were just going to see pictures in like home movies or whatever of Justin. And like back in the early days, it was like, so my grandson is doing this thing on Disney Channel. You guys like Disney Channel? They're like, fuck yeah, we love Disney Channel. And it was just like, you see pictures of him auditioning for the Mickey Mouse Club, or there was a wild ass picture he used to bring around. It was like him and Britney Spears and like, you know, all the folks that are famous now. Wow. We just sit around and we just talk about that. And then it was like NSYNC, and then it was like the Justin with the curls, with the fro curls with the frosted tips. I was there through all that, thanks to Grandpa JT.
So he didn't feel any kind of way about bringing it up at school. He was like, no, I don't care. Yeah, my grandson's famous. Like, this is what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think none of the teachers or administrators were going to say anything because he was the most popular. What are you going to tell Justin Timberlake's granddad that he can't just talk about that? At least the kids aren't skipping. You know, no one's acting up. Everybody's paying full on attention. Even dudes who like they didn't care. We cared because the girls were into it. I'm like, yeah, let's go, dude. Let's talk more about old Jay Tizzle. You know, I'm like, so. It was a good time.
So how often did comedy make like working? I mean, because what branch of the military were you in?
I was in the Navy.
Wow. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I was in oh, thanks. It was a long time ago. Like now I've been doing comedy. It's funny. I've been doing comedy now longer than I was in the Navy and longer than I've been out of the Navy.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's to age myself. But yeah, it's you know, it was one of those things where, you know, sometimes your job sucks. You're deployed and it sucks. And you're in terrible places and it sucks. And all you can do is just, you know, act like an asshole sometimes in a good way. Oh, bless you.
Sorry, thank you.
Go for it. No, it was just, you know, clowning, acting up. It's your fight or flight sometimes is to just try to make everyone else laugh by breaking the ice a little bit, making it more comfortable to be around, you know, making the best of a shitty situation, I guess. And there was a lot of shitty situations. So I kind of got good at reading the room and just kind of talking shit a little bit. And, and figured out how to make money off of it years later when I got out.
That's incredible. So did someone come up to you at some point when you were in the Navy and say like, man, you have to do this professionally? Or was it something you always knew you wanted to do?
No, my last place I was stationed, I was in San Diego, and down there they have like, I don't know if they still have it, but there was like 4 dedicated comedy clubs in the city. They have like the La Jolla Comedy Club, American Comedy Company, my old home club, the Madhouse Comedy Club, and then like the Comedy Palace or whatever. So you have like 4 dedicated comedy clubs, but then you have like, you know, all these great one-off comic produced rooms and shows. In San Diego being just like, you know, down the street from LA, there's a lot of people that are pretty good, you know, because, you know, by proxy, everybody wants to get good enough there and just get absorbed to LA, right? So that it breeds a lot of good comics. You know, there's a good group of comics when I started, and no one, you know, it wasn't the work stuff and the comedy stuff. I always kept it separate. Like I was like Batman, you know, like I didn't want any of the comics to know that I was in the military, and I didn't want any of the military guys to know that I went out and did comedy, because I felt like neither one of those groups of people would accept both. You know, like both groups of people thought they knew what the other group was about. Like I didn't want my comic buddies I was hanging with to be like, oh, military guy, he's probably some meathead, dumb fuck who loves MMA, because San Diego's a huge MMA place.
It is.
I was like, no, I'm far from that. And then I didn't want all the, you know, kind of dumbass military dudes I hung out with at work to just be like, oh, you're doing comedy now? Like, what, you like Rogan? I don't know, or something like that. I don't know. Just, I kept it separate until, you know, my close buddies ended up finding out. And like, I know Brian Simpson I met him, he was a door guy at Madhouse, my home club, and we hit it off quick because he was like, we were like smoking a joint. He was like, you in the military, aren't you? I was like, what?
Because he used to be.
The haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a Marine and all that stuff. He like the haircut, all that stuff. I was like, why you don't talk about it? I was like, why don't you talk about it? He's like, I asked you first, motherfucker, you know. So we became friends. And another comic named Billy Bonnell, he was another guy who was fresh out, maybe 2 years before me, but he was a comic in San Diego. So I met military dudes that were doing it, and I was like, oh, okay, so this could be done. But like when I started in San Diego, like what really got me going was like walking into some of these mics, these small shows, and seeing killers like Brian or Taylor Tomlinson. Like she was too young to go into some of the bar shows, but she would pop in and pop out, pop in, do her thing, and then we'd all be hanging. So I got to see people like that, and I'm like, well, fuck, these guys are good and they're funny. And some of my now buddies who we all started with is just like, we got to do it. Like I felt comfortable starting in San Diego because there was such a good scene, and I think I started around the same time where a bunch of other comics decided to start too. So it was like, hey, do you want to go and be real bad for a while? We can be bad together. Let's fucking go. And
yep.
And it just took off from there, you know, just every night hitting it for years until slowly but surely, like your friends, oh, did you hear so-and-so is opening for somebody now? So whoop, they're moving to LA. And oh, I haven't heard, what's his face? Oh, well, they're a door guy at the store now, because there were door guys at the La Jolla Comedy Store, and that's kind of like the minor leagues, and you go up to LA. So, yeah, I mean, I started in San Diego and I still had like 2 years left in my contract. So I started, and I was like, I was under the impression I wouldn't go on any more deployments because I only had 2 years left. And so I did a year where I was like hitting the mics, going out every night and like hanging, and then all of a sudden I got some orders, and I was like, I got to dip out. So I left for like 6 to 8 months, and then I came back. People were like, yo, so-and-so got big. I'm like, what the fuck? Where's, you know, it's like, you know, Taylor. She was the first one to get huge. I think it was America's Got Talent or Last Comic Stand, one of those big things. So I was just like, holy shit, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question. I was just reminiscing about the old days.
No, I love it. I've done hundreds of these, and I've never had a comic say, hey, you want to be bad together for a while? Let's go. You know, and that's really, I think the beginning parts of the mic, and really, you know, anytime you're doing new material, I mean, I think there's cheat codes as you get famous, because I think people give you a lot more grace the more they recognize your face.
Sure.
So you can try new stuff in a room at the store, and they'll just think it's amazing that they're seeing you. But for the most part, I mean, I heard Bert Kreischer talk about this in an interview recently where he said, I've got this joke I've been trying to make work for 10 years. And he said, and all of a sudden it started working. And he said, and I can't tell if it's because the joke is good or if people just recognize me. And I'm like, yeah, that's why George Carlin took the train and stayed connected to.
No, Bert, it's because people know you now, Bert. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that helps. So did you, just to probe a little more. So, but when you were like a tiny little baby Shain, were you like, I am always doing voices and I'm funny and I'm whatever. I really want to do something in entertainment? Or was it like, you would just cut up because that's just who you were and you didn't think you'd make a career out of it?
I didn't think I wasn't thinking about comedy, like, Millington, Tennessee. I don't think, my dad he was in the military. We lived out in the sticks. I didn't think anything about comedy. Now, I was a child model for a hot second.
Oh, okay, Shain.
So that was my parents, my mom's way of like, trying to, I guess exploit her child. But I loved it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew that, she signed me up for this like modeling school. I don't know if those are a thing anymore, but I just knew it was just like, the deal was like, I go to soccer practice, I go to baseball, I go to basketball, I do all this stuff that I want to do. But since she's taking me all to these places to do that, one day a week, I have to go with her into the city, into Memphis. And I go to this modeling school and there's a bunch of other kids about my age. And we just sit and hear somebody talk about how you're supposed to walk a runway and shit. I hated all of it, but it was like the cutest girls I've ever seen in my life. So I'm like, yeah, I'll put on this bolo tie and walk up and down this hallway and practice my pivots and stuff. And then I get like little local commercial shoots for like car dealerships or Kroger, which was like the supermarket out there. And I'm just, and my mom just loved I just remember her being excited to be on some of these things where there'd be a trailer or a tent or a chair with my name on it. Cause then she would just be, it's like, that's her name. You know what I mean? She's like, look, we're big time now. Aww. Yeah. Now get in there and push that shopping cart, boy. So I don't know.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah. So I was a cut up, I think, just like any other little knucklehead kid was, but I remember my dad when he first brought home a big VHS on the shoulder kind of camera thing. Like I went absolutely insane and just started like making home movies and all that. I think I wanted to do something, man, but it definitely wasn't like, I'm going to stand up and tell jokes or whatever, or, little Shain got older and I discovered SNL and I was like, oh shit, like this is where it's at. It was like the Will Ferrell kind of class of people. And I was like, all these folks are idiots and I need to know how to do this and get in there. And then the comedy obsession grew from there because it was like, all right, in high school, they have these plays. And some of them are kind of goofy. I think I can do that. So it's just like, I'm drunk guy number 2 and Fiddler on the Roof. Or I'm drunk guy number 1 in Guys and Dolls. I was always the drunk, or the silly guy or whatever. And
I love that those two classic plays have drunk kids just being like, we know you're 16. You're going to play drunk. It's fine.
Yeah, I got typecasted real early. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even in college, I majored in creative writing for television and film, and then YouTube was starting to become a thing where my buddies were just like, yo, you have to check this out. People are uploading videos to the computer. And this is how old I am. I'm like, how the fuck do they get it on there? Like, I don't understand. Like, how do they get it from
the VHS?
Like, how do you get it from this
to this?
To that, dude? And we're all standing around in one guy's dorm like, we got to figure out this fucking wizardry shit because we can do funny stuff, dude. And it was like when College Humor was big. And like Derek Comedy now with the former hugest entertainer in the world, Donald Glover. It's like, I remember watching some of those videos and just being like, yo, what the fuck? And so like, it was always something that's like, I like this. I think I like comedy. I think I like sketch. I think I like this goofy stuff. It wasn't until, like, in the little bio thing where it says I did an impromptu set when I was deployed. That's the first time I thought about stand-up. Like, I watched specials like Chappelle's, like, Killing Them Softly and stuff like that, but I didn't really think about stand-up like that. And that was the first set, quote unquote, that I ever did, was at that fucking Christmas party talent show thing we did in, I think it was Kandahar, Afghanistan, when we got stranded there. There were so many dudes playing acoustic covers of Creed songs or playing, you know, I was like, what?
You're like, this ain't it.
What is it? Because it was in one of these, galleys, the cafeteria kind of places, and me and this small unit of guys I was with, we were supposed to leave to go back to a bigger base, but there was a sandstorm, right? So we were like, all right, we're going to be here for the next 2 days. And I had nothing to do, and I wandered into the cafeteria with another buddy of mine, and I just saw, you know, just a big crowd of people, and then there was like one guy up at the front, makeshift lights and all that, but dude was playing, like, I think he was playing Creep, Oasis, on an acoustic guitar, and he was dog shit, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And then another guy gets up, who I assume is the host and MC, who was like the coordinator of events and programming for the people who were like there on that base for long periods of time. And, you know, there's men and women out there, but what talent can you showcase when you're deployed in an active war zone? Like, what's on hand? Everybody has an acoustic guitar, so all the dudes are singing. Some of the women went up there and they did some songs. I think somebody even did some like choreographed dance moves.
Ooh.
I'm like, dude, yeah, you know, war does weird things to people. But I was standing in the back and I'm laughing to myself. I'm not being a rude asshole, but after like the fourth or fifth, same kind of dude gets up there, like, you know, this song makes you think about my girl back home or whatever, and I'm just like, oh god, dude.
Oh god.
And I think somebody overheard me talking shit. This is like another buddy of mine. He's like, why don't you get the fuck up there and go be funny up there? It sounds hack. It sounds like it's some movie shit, but it's like guys that I knew. They saw me laughing, kind of talking shit. They were in on it too, but they were like, why don't you fucking go up there and say some shit? Go talk some shit if you want to go talk shit. I was like, all right, I'll go talk. And I found out who was in charge of it. He's like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to tell some jokes. And he's like, yeah, please, as long as you're not playing guitar. So I went up there. I didn't talk. I did what I know now to be crowd work. Probably pretty bad, but the bar was already set really low. It's like everyone there knew exactly what I was talking about, because how could you not? Because you're just there. You talk about how shitty the bass is, the food, and, you know, it's dark and morbid, but like, I'm like, what if we all died now? What if we got hit by an IED? What if there's a rocket attack right now and I'm the last thing any of us see? Wouldn't that fucking, like, shit like that? And like, I the next day I ran into some people like at the gym or walking around like the post, and they're like, you're that funny guy. You were there talking shit, man. That was pretty good, dude. I was like, oh, thanks, man. They're like, yeah, you should do some I remember one guy saying, you should be like a comedian or something when you get back. And I was just like, cool. Nope. All right. But
oh my gosh.
But yeah, as kind of cheesy and corny as that sounds, those are like little snippets of things that kind of happen. And you fast forward several months later, I get back home to San Diego, and I for sure am not going to deploy anymore. And I meet back up with the crew, all the homies that I was running around doing mics with. And they were like, all right, well, let's get back into it. And then I got out. I moved into a flop house with a couple buddies of mine, some comic. Matt Lockwood is one of the guys. A guy named Derek Poston, the Son of Mod, and all that stuff.
I know all them.
James Schrader, the guy. You know them?
Yeah, I know all them.
Those are the guys.
Yeah.
Those are the guys. My buddy James didn't live there, James Schrader, but he would hang out at the house all the time. He's the Dr. Squatch soap guy.
Yep.
He's yeah, and I remember we used to, this is another hack sheet. I'm all reminiscent today, so you have to cut me off, but we were sitting on the porch of this flop house we lived in downtown, and right across the street from us was that band POD. I don't know if you remember that.
Not really.
Yeah. Good. It's not worth remembering. It was some shitty band. But we're sitting around and we're all talking about, when I get big, one of us, I think it was like Derek or some shit, like, I'm gonna be on. I know I'm gonna be on You Made It Weird one of these days. I'm gonna shout out all the San Diego comedy scene. I'm gonna talk to Pete Holmes about all y'all. We're like passing around a big ass jug of like Carlo Rossi. I'm like, hell yeah, man. We're gonna put SD on the map. All that fucking dumb shit.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, got out and then after a couple of years, we went up to LA and kind of stuck around there for a while, sniffing around, trying to get something popping. I was in grad school at UCLA during the day, and then go do mics and really bad shows at night. Did that for a couple of years, and after that, I was just like, I met my now wife, then girlfriend. We were both living down in LA, and she's from Portland. And at this point, I've been doing comedy for years. Wasn't really getting any traction in LA other than I was doing some really, really low budget shows and found another good crew and all that. But man, we were so like apartment poor there. Oh. My wife and I, like I lived a couple blocks away from Flappers. Traffic was terrible. I worked in Huntington Beach.
You were living wait. You were living in Burbank and driving to Huntington Beach?
Because I got out of the military and I got my first big boy job was I was doing IT at a mid-level. I was working at a mid-level IT company in Huntington Beach, right? So I was like, all right, this is my first job. Let me hold on to it. But I was also using my GI Bill. I got into UCLA to go to grad school, but then my girlfriend, now wife, was living in Burbank, and I didn't want to live. I couldn't live by my. It was all shit. It was all shit.
Like,
yeah.
I would have hated LA. That would have burnt me out for the city so hard. You were in your car 3.5 hours a day minimum.
Yeah, it broke me pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you have energy?
Especially when I started making some leeway. Like I got repped, and my manager at the time would send me. Comedy Central had that building in Santa Monica or something like that. They'd be like, "Yo, we got you some auditions of some generals in Santa Monica, like 2 in the afternoon." I'm like, I'm never gonna be home. Like I'd have to leave school and then go. Yeah, it was like on a nightly basis for a couple of years. I'd leave the house at like 5:30, 6 in the morning, and I'd get home around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then just rinse and repeat.
Nope. Nope. Like, because in order to be creative, I mean, I get grind mode, but like in order to be creative, you gotta, there's no room for self-care in any of that.
No, the room was sitting in traffic.
Falling asleep.
Falling asleep at school or at work.
Or in the car.
Or something.
Yeah,
or the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, sitting in the back of a mic, have someone hit me, elbow me, because, you're on deck, dude. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, okay. Let me go bomb real quick.
Yeah. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So do you guys live in Portland now?
Yeah. We moved up here like 2018.
Oh, before the pandemic. So smart you.
It was before the pandemic, yeah. And it was just going to be a quick pop in. Like, let's reset. Like, we can go be poor in Portland, at least around your friends and family. And I've been coming up here already. I knew the scene. I got to meet some of the folks who were up here. I knew they had a poppin' scene because of Bridgetown.
Yeah.
Like I did Bridgetown. I met some folks. I stayed in touch. And when we come up here to visit our family, like I would hit mics and shows. So I'm like, I could feel good about that. And it was only supposed to be for maybe like a year or two. And then in 2020, everything shut down. And we were like, well, let's just stick around a little longer. And now we're just like, I'm not really pressed to go back now. Especially I pop back into LA at least once a month to do all the little low key, low budget showbiz stuff. A lot of generals that go nowhere and a lot a lot of showcases where the crowds are just the best.
Yeah.
Really make me feel good about myself.
Yeah. Warm hug, we call that. Big warm hug.
Oh, yeah. Big, warm Netflix. And,
known for their laughs, for their laughing out loud, especially, too, so that you feel like a joke is really working. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Man, can I tell you, I bombed so hard at this Netflix. It was a Netflix showcase. I think it might have been I didn't get it. It was like for the Netflix's Joke Fest, where they were going to be like, hey, check out this person you need to know kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was like this is like a callback after a callback after a call. I'm like, I've made it through so many of these rounds. I'm gonna come down. Sure, let's do it. And I went in there, and it was at the Dynasty. As soon as I went to the green room and saw that I was Bullet, I was like, fuck, this is not gonna go well for me. And I went up there, and no offense to the host, because the host is actually a good buddy of mine. When she came back, well, we were like passing off each other. She was like, I'm so sorry, dude, they fucking suck. And I went up there, and they did suck. And I felt like dog shit. This is how bad I bombed. Immediately after my set, I went outside the venue, and I went on my phone and tried to book a red eye back home that night. Like, I didn't want to stay. I didn't want to stay there. It was like the show started at 7. The show started at 7. I was doing the math. I was like, all I have is a backpack. I can get an Uber straight to LAX. I'll take a 9. I don't give a fuck. I'm talking to my wife on the phone. She's like, it couldn't have been that bad. I was like, I want to come home. Please. Cancel Netflix. I don't want to give them my money anymore. We are Amazon Prime House now. Hulu only. Fuck these people.
Can you speak not comedy and tell people what bullet means and why it's even worse for a crowd of executives?
Bullet is when you go up first.
That's the worst.
You go up first. The host will go up and do a couple of minutes to try to warm them up, get them comfortable with the idea of comedy happening. And like you said, a room full of executives is probably not going to be a warm hug.
Never.
You know, you're walking into a lion's den. First of all, these aren't the top tier executives.
Nope.
Because they will send their
assistants
to go watch their client. So why would they root for anyone harder than their
own clients?
Yeah. And their own clients. So you go up there, and it's just like, man, doing showcases sometimes will make you feel like you need to do something else with your life.
Every time. I don't know anyone that's done them and felt great. I don't know anyone. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't take red eye. I just ended up, thanks to my buddy Simon Gibson, and just went to a bar and got hammered enough to forget for just that night. But boy, was that thought waiting for me when I opened my eyes in the hotel room.
Crappy how that works. Isn't that always how it goes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, on a more positive note, tell us about so your special is called Either Way Pretty Funny. Why is it named that? And then we're going to get into the jobs in the next section of this. So just what can you tell us about your special? Okay.
Well, it's just audio. It's just an album. I don't know if that's still special. I think it's special. Maybe. I don't know.
What made you not? Because it's common to do like at least a YouTube, like to do audio and visual. What made you not do visual? Because it's so expensive.
When we taped it, it was set up. There's 3 cameras and all that stuff. But I was just they didn't. It was we basically went in, me and the label and all that, and they were just like, do you want to record an album? And it didn't cross my mind at all to just do a special, I guess. I don't know why. I was like, yeah, I'll do an audio thing only. Can we have cameras there to capture visuals just for like socials and stuff like that? So I was like, technically I could put out something like that, but I don't feel like I need to. I don't feel like I want to.
It does make it different.
The next thing will be special. Sure, this will be something you'll listen to.
Shain,
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll pull a Nate Bargatze years ago. He put out his first album about his dad, the clown thing, and then a couple years later he redid it as his first special.
I didn't know that.
I always thought that was. Yeah, digging the crates. He did it. I don't think it was something he got away. It's not like it was sneaky. I don't think it was illegal, but I'm like, all right. I like that. All right, cool. Maybe I'll do. I don't know. I'm already working on the new hour, so it doesn't matter. But it's called Either Way Pretty Funny, which is a shout out to Jessica over at the label. I'm really bad at this stuff. I write the jokes. I spend all my time trying to figure out the bit. But she worked with me tirelessly with like she pitched album names and stuff like that and track titles and all that. And I was just basically going back. Well, I was going to call it something else. But then the more I sat and thought about it, there's a line in the album where a guy is online. Can you believe it? Someone online is talking shit in the comment section of a joke I do. But he couldn't figure out what race I am. And he's like, the comment, he goes, this is either the blackest Asian dude I've seen or the most Asian black guy I've ever seen. Either way, pretty funny. So shout out to that guy.
That's funny.
You helped me with the album.
You're like sort of him being low key racist and needing to know that for whatever reason, but at least he titled the album. So okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Credit to you troll.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russian bot. You named the album.
Yeah, right.
That's amazing. And can you tell us before we move on? Tell us when we can get it, how we can get it, where we can get it.
It's on pre-order now. They want me to push for that because if enough pre-orders go through now on iTunes, iTunes and Bandcamp, I think you can pre-order it. You get that fun little maybe hour or two the day it drops where you get to see that you're number one on iTunes.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I'm doing some behind the scenes biz right now. Yeah, I'm pulling back the curtain. Yeah, I don't know how it works, but apparently, like the more people pre-sale order your stuff, the more on the day it releases, there's a chance it looks like you're beating out some of the big dogs, and
it
doesn't mean that I'm going to make any more money, but sure, it'll be a nice screenshot.
Listen, that it's all smoke and mirrors, all of it. Even the most famous people that we think have like figured it out. It's like, no, they're playing the game the same way we're playing the game. They just they just start with they start on third base. We're starting on first. We're trying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They got a bigger machine. It officially drops September 27th.
Okay, got it.
September, so on the 27th is the official release, but it's on pre-order right now.
Okay, we'll link to everything in the show notes, everybody. Well, we hope you enjoyed your apps. Let's move on to the entrees after a quick break. We're back, and now it's time for the entrees. Okay, this is the section that everybody knows. It's the same questions every time, and feel free to tell stories in conjunction with this, but I have one job that I want to fixate on, but we'll get there. We always start with the same first question. What was your first job ever where the government was taking taxes out of your money? Now, that doesn't necessarily, like, if you're like, well, but I was babysitting for a long time, fine. But traditionally, you know, where the government was taking money out.
Oh, man. Ooh.
It could baby
so
model feels.
Yeah, I think so. The government and my mom was taking money. I guess I never saw them checks.
I was gonna ask, like, how did that? Did you?
Never saw the checks.
You didn't ever?
I didn't. I don't think I had a concept of money back then, so I didn't care. I didn't care. Really, not. I might have to call her after this and ask her where the money is, but that might be it. Was like being a child actor model, but let me just do one that's shout out to my mom. I am going to call her and ask where all hundreds of those dollars might have went.
So here goes the Macaulay Culkin story 2.0 with Shain Brenden being like, we have to have a conversation.
Yeah. Am I too old to get divorced from my family?
You can't get emancipated once you've had children. Sorry, Shane.
It might have been, it's a toss-up between Wendy's or McDonald's.
Oh.
Because those are my first two memories of my first two teenage high school jobs, you know?
Okay.
Fast food. There was a place in Millington called Navy Road because it was right outside the Navy base, and it just had all of the fast food places. And I think by the time I left Millington, I worked my way all the way up one street from Wendy's to the Baskin Robbins to the Papa John's to the other side of the street to like Sonic, McDonald's, Burger King, Dairy Queen type shit.
And did you work
health food, bro?
Heart Attack Alley. Did you?
I didn't work at all of them, but I have connections. I have ties to all of them.
Okay, big flex.
Yeah.
Look at you go.
I'm affiliated to all of them.
Okay. Well, we better be nice to you. We could get some free French fries.
It's not a flex. I couldn't hold down the job. That's what it was. I'd be like, man, you want me to work how many hours today? Nah, I'm gonna see you later, and I just go across the street to Sonic and get a job the same day. You know?
That is wild.
Roller skate over here. Fuck you guys.
Okay, so you said Wendy's or McDonald's. What were you doing? Were you like drive-through? Were you a cook? Were you register, or did they rotate? Like, I don't know anyone that's worked in fast food, so you got to tell me everything.
You do it all. You do it all. You're a utility player. You got to be flexible. You got to have a lot of different tools in your toolbox to handle the fast food industry. I mean, I thought it was pretty. Those jobs are the perfect jobs for a teenager, first job, and what I now understand to be people who are like, hey, maybe they did some things and they were away for a while in some sort of correctional facility. And now it's hard to get jobs anywhere else. So it makes sense why this dude with a lot of teardrop tattoos is working the fryer right alongside little Shain.
Little baby Shain.
In 1998, just trying to figure things out,
Okay.
I shined on the drive-through.
Oh, you did?
With the little headset.
Because you got to make jokes.
Talking to people.
I'll bet you did.
I got to make jokes. I'd like to, when you pull up, hey, welcome to McDonald's. I hope you're having a great day. My name is Shain. What can I get for you today? Make you feel special, right?
That's nice.
And then, I try to pick up. Now that I think back about it, trying to like pick up on girls while there's a car full of hot girls in the drive-thru and they're looking up at you wearing your McDonald's uniform is a bit much. And I did it with the confidence of a man who owns several McDonald's. I'd be like, because I went to school with a lot of these kids that would come through. I get out of class, and if I wasn't like involved in like an after school thing, I'd go right to work. And McDonald's was like a couple blocks away from school, so these girls would come through like, hey, Shain, are you working the drive? Like, they'd come in first. And, like, my friends would be, hey, Shain, so-and-so's here. And I just kind of give them a signal, like, hey, go around, go drive through, And then, they'd come through and they'd order, like, just 2 McFlurries. And then they get a bag full of cheeseburgers and some fries, Tell your girls about me,
Oh, you
Shain's
hooked
working.
it up. Shain's working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shain's working. I mean, for a limited time, because as soon as the manager finds out, Shain is not working anymore. So you need to come through. Put all your girls in the Volkswagen Jetta and pull up, because Shain is giving out burgers with cheese.
Because Shain will soon be not welcomed in this establishment any longer.
Yeah. He will be across the street.
At Sonic, roller skating.
Roller skating. Rollerblading.
I'm so sorry, rollerblading. I'm sorry, very masculine.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing that I want to hyperfixate on with fast food that amazes me, especially for people who have done it for a long time. I know you said you were a utility player, so you were going all over. But the repetition of burger patty on the bread, add the cheese, wrap it up, move on. Like, even if I had to do that for an hour, I feel like I would go, and this is such a position of privilege to say, like, I would get bored, but I feel like I would. So how did you mentally stay, engaged?
You don't. Exactly what you said, what happened to you happens to people. You get in the zone. Yeah. You kind of like professional athletes say they get in that zone where, everyone's moving slower than them. And they're just kind of like, once you're doing bread, cheese, pickle, patty, bread, like you just kind of check out. And now you're just like assembly lining it and all that stuff. So an hour will just go by and you're like, wow, I wish my life wouldn't fly by this quickly without me knowing.
Yeah.
But it's happening, 1 minute you're a 16-year-old making junior bacon cheeseburgers. Next minute, you're a 32-year-old that, hey, now you're the general manager. How did that happen? Yeah. So I've been here. I zoned out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, this is a good, decent job. Yeah, I mean, That's what working in fast food. I don't think I ever got a chance to like sit still or do anything where I can kind of peacefully zone out, because it's pure chaos back there. Like, think of the Bear, but way lower stakes.
You're not going for a Michelin star at that McDonald's? That's weird.
No, you're not even going for a passable health grade in there. There's no yes chef. There's no professionalism. These are people who are like, they might hurt
fresh
you
out.
or hurt each other. They're fresh out, and they don't care. Like,
no,
yeah, man. When I was working at Wendy's, and I found out that the chili is just old patties that they weren't selling to make burgers. You just kind of chop them up after an hour, because they all just sit back at the back corner of the grill top, and then they'll just every hour, like some bell will go off ding, and you just scrape all the patties off and throw them in a big vat, like a pot that's just sitting there. Sorry to anybody eating Wendy's right now, but that's why it's so delicious, because it's been perpetually bubbling since 1997. Fun fact, I got fired from that Wendy's because the manager sneakily caught me hoarding chicken nuggets in the freezer. Like, I would take fresh nugs and I would like wrap them up, and I'd walk into the deep freezer and put them like behind 2 ketchup boxes. And then over the course of 10 minutes, I'd be like, oh, I'll get some out of the freezer. I go back there and just munch a bunch of now cold. So instead of confronting me in the office like a normal person, this dude hid in another part of the freezer.
Sir.
And he waited until I put nugs in my mouth. He's like, I knew it was you. I was like, what the fuck?
That's some fucking CSI shit.
Yeah. I knew it was you. Turn in your badge and your apron. You're off the force.
You're like, I'm just going across the street, but okay, man, and I have a full belly.
I'll see you at lunch. Yeah, this is all I needed.
Okay, so you do that sort of heart attack alley circuit for how many years? How long were you bouncing in between those jobs?
It was freshman year of freshman year. How old was I?
I think you would have
when
been.
Do you turn 16 normally? What grade is that?
I thought it was junior. I thought, well, no, because 16, 17 would be junior year, then 17, 18 would be senior. So
yeah, I think I only did it for the junior. I think I only did a junior year.
Okay.
And then maybe at the start of senior year, because then I got a job at this laser tag arena called Laser Quest, North America's premier laser tag. Yeah, I was a laser technician pretty much. I leveled up.
That is not what they called you.
That's what they call it. They're like, you're either a floor manager, like the person who's like, hey, welcome to Laser Quest, don't run. So I was like, no, I have a mind for like technology, and I want to advance. I know where it's all going. I was ahead of the game.
Listen.
So they're like, cool, you get to change this red light bulb in the front of this gun. And I was like, cool.
Did that come with a raise?
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, it was like 25 cents more. I think I was making $5.25.
Hello.
Back then.
Good for you.
And I didn't have to wear the uniform. Woo! I hung out with the cool stoner kids, and we just sat in the closet and fixed the wires and the vest and all that. So we just thought we were cool as shit, man.
I mean, you were though. You were like, I don't need Wendy's anymore. Goodbye. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm working with military grade lasers over here. Foreshadowing my future kind of. So.
Hello. Which I hope actually that our military could easily, those are transferable skills, that you didn't really need to be trained up on lasers once you got in the Navy, because you were like, I super got this. That's good.
Yeah, I skipped boot camp. I went straight from laser tag to just being on
to Afghanistan.
In the middle of the ocean. Yeah, in Afghanistan. Like, oh, weren't you the laser tech at Laser Quest, North America's premier laser tech arena? I was like, yes, just my name precedes me.
Oh my gosh, like not even your dad's pre-military service. No, they don't know you that way.
No. They just know about me. That's all it is.
Oh, we've heard. Well, that's good. You got to skip boot camp. Okay. The next note, how many customer service jobs have you had total? Now, this might be hard for you to answer since you bounced around in Heart Attack Alley, but how many would you say roughly have you had? I think the military's customer service, real talk, but it could be argued differently.
No, it is. The customer is the American people.
Yeah.
And I'm serving them.
Yeah.
And this is how I have to talk when I talk about that service. No, I see. I had a in college. I had a bunch of shitty customer service jobs. Like I sold shoes at the mall.
Ooh.
And that wasn't fun.
No.
What about waiting tables? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Customers?
Oh yeah.
Oh, if that's the case, yeah. I went from fast food to fast casual. I worked at Applebee's. I worked at Chili's.
I was gonna guess Chili's. I love it. Applebee's.
Yeah, I worked at Chili's. I worked at a place called On the Border, the Mexican.
Oh, I know On the Border.
I worked at a place called Bahama Breeze.
I know Bahama Breeze. I was gonna work there too. Yeah. That's so funny.
The sweet irony is my dad is from the Bahamas. He's Bahamian, and he got so excited when they built the Bahama Breeze next to the Wolf Chase Galleria. He's like, "We got to go." I was like, "What? To get a taste of home?" And he went in there and was so fucking bummed out. He's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" He's like, "Oh, shit." I was like, "What, Dad? Doesn't this make you feel like we're back at Grandma's house?" He's like, "Shut up, we're leaving now." He's like, "Why is there a fucking pizza on the menu? I never eat a pizza in the Bahamas." Well, he's going off. It was funny.
Can you do his accent? Does he sound Bahamian, or has he assimilated too much?
He assimilated too much. It's like his accent. I talk about it in the album, but in real life, the best way to put my dad's accent is if you've ever seen a British person on a movie or television show,
try to sound American.
You can hear it. Like they pull it off until there's a few words.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I don't know. I can't do any accent, but it's like that.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's
water. I'd like a drink of water. Yeah.
Like a water. Hey,
like,
bruv. Like, why does this guy say bruv? Isn't he supposed to be from the South? Like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Okay.
Yeah. It's that. And like, I grew up in Millington, Tennessee, where people have, my accent has even faded a lot. My Southern accent has faded a lot. Now I've been, when I drink enough whiskey, I sound like Black Boomhauer. But like, I grew up with a thick Southern accent and everyone around me. So my dad also kind of had somewhat of a Southern Island accent. It was all, and then my mom's Filipino, but she doesn't sound fresh off the boat or anything. Mm-hmm. She kind of had like a Southern twang. My family's all weird. That's why I don't do voices on stage. It's not that I think I'm better than that. I don't know what fucking voice to do. I can't figure it out. So
okay, so your assimilated father goes into Bahama Breeze and he's like, they have pizza. This is bullshit. But you still were able to work there, or did you quit shortly thereafter?
I got a job there.
Okay.
Like within those couple of months, because I saw that they were hiring when I was there, and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Sorry, Dad.
It's a job. Back then, I'll just take a job whenever.
That's right. Well, you don't seem attached, which is good. That's good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In the job market back then, yes, not having commitment issues was fine. I found out later that that's not good, and I've worked through all that.
And you're married.
And I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm married. I've committed, and I love you, baby, if you're listening. But yeah,
she knows.
A lot of those jobs, I would always, especially the food ones, I'd stick around long enough to finish the shadowing of a real server's. Like you have to shadow someone.
You go through the training and then you're like, I gotta go.
I go to my training because then I get like free meals or half off on the meals, and then I get thrown out there on a first shift. And I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, this is hard, and these people are mean, and I just wouldn't come back.
You love a good ghosting. I'm shocked you're not Irish. You love it. Okay.
I love a good ghost. I love a ghost.
Yeah. You're like, I'm gonna haunt this bitch. I'm out. Okay. Yeah. When you said shoes at the mall, I have to know where. Can you name it?
Yeah. There's a place called Dillard's.
Oh yeah.
It's I guess you can think of like
Macy's.
Nordstrom's rack.
Yeah.
Macy's type thing, kind of like the two bigger buildings at the end of the mall.
Yeah.
Where grown-ups would go shop.
Yeah. Dillard's used to be McAlpin's, where I was from. Do you remember McAlpin's? Was that a name you knew?
That sounds familiar. Where are you from?
Ohio, and it became
Okay.
yeah. We have a Dillard. It's like one of the
yeah.
last remaining Dillards is still in my town where I grew up. It's one of the last ones.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah, listen.
That's sad, but also big flex.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you were specifically a shoe guide. Now, was it gendered? Were you only selling men's shoes, or were you selling shoes to everybody?
I did not discriminate what foot I needed to touch that day.
That makes me want to get sick.
It was all commission based. It was all commission.
What?
And yeah. And now, don't get me wrong, like, as much as I quit jobs at the drop of a dime, like, when I did have a job, I wanted to get some money. So, like, I would work with people who didn't, if we see someone coming, and people were like, nah, fuck that, that's my person, or you got it. Like, the people I ended up working with, they really didn't want to, they were just chilling. They were hanging out. They're like, I was like, you guys want to talk to this person? Like, no, you go ahead. Because I was working with, like, older folks, too. And I'm like the little young guy. They're like, yeah, go out there and get your money, young blood. Go do what you're going to do. A lot of times I'd sit there and, like, be putting on the several different pairs for, like, one person. And after, like, half an hour, they'd be like, nah, I think I will come back some other time. It's like, I just rubbed your feet for, like, half an hour, man. Oh. Some freaky shit.
Yeah.
You buy these loafers? Yeah.
But Shain, some people are into that. That's like a real thing that some people actually do. There have been TV shows that have written bits about this, that like people will go in just to have their feet touched because it's a kink.
Oh, I found out later. That was that. And then me, I'm the adorable little young guy in there, and it was just like, I used to get them, man. Some of them aunties, them church ladies would come in there, and they would just like,
corns.
Oh, yeah, just come. I want you to help me out. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get a big tip out of this lady, and I'm rubbing on her toes and stuff, and I'm like trying to, because it was back then you had it was a foot size. There was like a metal thing where it slid and did all this and that, and I'd have to hold your foot, and they were like, maybe you should try my other foot because I got 2 different size feet. I'm like, I guess so. People got this. I was just a very impressionable young boy who was just trying to make $1, rubbing on Southern women's feet and gentlemen, rubbing on sweaty summertime Southern feet to get a commission.
Shain, I have to understand, because you're the dude who's like, I'm not coming back after lunch at some of these other jobs. How long did you last rubbing on old ladies' corns? How long was that job?
Oh, that was, about 2 paychecks.
Oh, that was, yeah.
So probably
a month.
Probably about a month.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever make commission and during that time? Did you sell any shoes?
I also stole a lot of shit too.
Good job, you. Steal from the man.
Yeah, so I did. I stole some belts. I stole some button-up shirts. It was nice. I stole a lot of shit from a lot of places I worked too. Is that a segment in your pod too where you talk about how much shit you stole?
I should add that.
I don't care.
No, you're being honest. You're one of the first honest people. So like, I don't know that other people would admit it, but there is a statute of limitations, and so that was in the early 2000s, I would assume. So you're like, yeah, it's passed.
Yeah. Come find me. Finish line. I also work there.
I was going to say,
get back to those North Carolina Michael Jordan shorts.
Oh, those were good. Those were hot. Those were really hot for a while. That's like the Kobe's of today. Like those were hot. Okay, so
they caught me and I got fired.
Did you get to keep the shorts?
No, I got away with that. I kept the shorts because they're underneath my khakis, but I had to take off the polo shirt and hand it to the manager, and all I had was a very tiny white undershirt on underneath, and it was January, and I got escorted out of the mall, and I had to stand out there and wait for my dad to come pick me up.
Oh, I bet he was mad.
Well, he didn't understand. He was like, why are you wearing that little ass shirt? I was like, oh, because I left my work shirt in there. He's like, you didn't think to bring a jacket or nothing? I was like, well, I wasn't expecting it. And then, and he dropped me off at school. I went from there. He dropped me off at school because there was a dance. So I showed up to school with khakis and a very little boy T-shirt on underneath, and told all my friends I got fired for trying to steal from Finish Line. And then a girl that I overheard it, and she lived in my neighborhood, and she was the one who told my dad, Shain got fired. That's why he was wearing that little ass shirt.
What a snitch.
That's why I got in trouble. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm doing the quick math. Okay, hold on. So you got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm counting about 12 customer service jobs. And then with military, I would say 13. So did you, when you were fresh out of the military, did you then have to, because you said you were on the GI Bill to get a further degree. So did you work during that time other than doing comedy? No, you said you had the IT job. That was there?
I had an IT job, which was, I was customer facing.
Oh, you were?
Where I had to deal with the clients and them wanting, like, we need this stack build. We need a tech to come out and do this, do all that. And I would go out and like see what's going on and fix shit. And it was in Huntington Beach. It was in Orange County. So super nice people when I show up.
I bet. And not at all rich and very kind to you in general.
Not rich, not at all.
Not racist.
And so I did that.
Yeah, that's good.
No, not super racist. When I would show up, they'd be like, do you know how this works? I'm like, yes, that's why I'm here. You don't, which is
I can't be so for real right now. Is that how they would speak to you? They would really say, do you know how this works?
Oh yeah, there were, cause it wasn't, my firm worked for businesses. We did tech and IT for business. So I wouldn't show up to anyone's personal home, but I would still show up to another mid-level small business that needed a field engineer to work on this thing. And I'm like, I'd show up and there would be like this one lady who was a secretary there. She's like, are you from so-and-so IT? I'm like, yes. Can I see your badge? Like, well, it's right here. It's on my shirt. Okay. Do you have any other credentials? I was like, what do you mean? Like a driver's license? How do I know that that's you? This is a real thing. How do I know that's you? And by this point, it's like, I already know what's happening here, but I'm just going to get this done so I can get the fuck out of here. I'm like, I give her my driver's license and the badge. She's looking at it. She's like, is there anybody I can call? Like a supervisor? I was like, yeah, you can call that number right there. And she calls the number and then my cell phone rings. I was like, hello? I was like, yeah, I'm the supervisor. I was like, can I talk to your boss? Because it seems like this is a timely matter and you've kept me here for 45 minutes. And I don't think your boss wants to be charged overtime, which is he will, because you have kept me here the whole time. I was like, next security camera up there you have, it's been recording the whole time. I know this because it's part of the stack and I'm fixing. So I can prove that I've been here and I got here way earlier to fix this problem. And she, man, that motherfucker, she was so fucking pissed. But yeah, I deal with that all the time. People will call and I sound like the way I sound, and I would get to a place and people would be like, well, I was expecting something else. You sound that I pictured someone else. I get a lot of that. There's a lot of white people being like, oh, I pictured something else just based off your name, Shane, and then I sound like this. I'm like, what the fuck did you think I was going to sound, So
but also, who says this? What is happening? This is why when people people who have never lived in Southern California, they only think of the OC. They're like, oh, they're just rich white people. They don't also seem to know about this very overt. They are not even quiet. And not everyone, whatever.
They're not quiet about it.
They're not. No, they're proudly super racist. Like I don't.
Yeah.
So when that I have to know when that happened, when you were like, you've kept me here for 45 minutes. That's proven. I need to come do my job. Did her boss come out and did you have to explain it like, hey, you can reprimand her now?
No one was on site except for her. I think she went into a room and made a phone call, and then all of a sudden was just like, okay, well, let me just take you. Whoever she talked to, probably her boss, was just like, let the guy do his job or whatever. So then she escorted me to the area and was basically like, I didn't see her, and she left the building. I was the last guy in there. I left. I went straight home. No, I went from there to an open mic in West Covina. So I drove all the way. Shout out to Steve Hernandez. I think he's the Chatterbox.
I know Chatterbox.
All the way to West Covina. And I remember I went on stage and I talked about it that night. I was still wearing my work clothes because someone was just like, you look like a assistant vice principal of a low budget high school. Somebody was heckling me. It was pretty funny. But yeah, no, there was no reprimand or anything like that. I went back to work the next day and my department head was just like, hey man, I heard about that fuck shit. I'm sorry. They called. I was like, is anything going to happen? He's like, no, of course not. No, they're not going to do anything. I was like, yeah, okay, well, what's on the agenda for today? So it was just like that, you just keep it moving. I held that job down for about a year, and then
that's a lifetime for you.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it was the money was good, and I was in school. It was just like that. I needed, what I liked about that job was it's like, I know I'm only working on these days for these hours, and it's never going to be on weekends. I think I worked Monday through Thursday from like 7:30 to maybe 5 or 6, depending on my last job. So I would always end up out early, and I knew I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday was always going to be, I could be out doing comedy, doing whatever. So I was like, I'll put up with this bullshit because the pay is pretty decent and the schedule is good. So I could still go drive back down to San Diego to do spots, or go to Bakersfield, hate myself, and and do comedy. So
damn. Well, God bless you. Yeah, that's the. I mean, I just. I'm filled with too much rage. I hear stories like that, and I'm like, let's burn it all down, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, which was your? So I'm gonna say, including that IT job, I'm gonna say 14 customer service jobs. Sounds about right. Does that sound about right? Okay, cool. We got 14. Which was
right.
Which was your least favorite of all of those?
My least favorite, it's that IT job.
Has to be.
I hated myself after it. Like, I remember just being like, complaining to my wife, like almost in tears, about how much it makes me feel bad to have to do this job and like work for, because I was also working for kind of upper crust. My department head he had a little mini statue of Ronald Reagan on his desk that said "Trust but Verify," and he looked like a little, like he was probably the president of the Young Republicans Club since preschool kind of guy.
Yeah, in the womb.
Like real tight lipped, real tight booty cheeks. He drove a douchey car, but I could tell, like, if he was such a young Republican guy, the only thing keeping him from mouthing off at me was his boss was a Marine Corps vet, and I was the only other combat vet that was hired working there. So his patriotism
overrode his racism
in a weird way. Overrode his. I could tell there was sometimes he wanted to talk to me because I wasn't the only brown dude who worked in the building, but I was the only brown dude who worked at that level with him. The other guys were just kind of like administrative assistants or supply guys. And I could see the way that some of those people would talk to those guys, but they would talk to me. They're like, well, Shain, he's a decorated guy, and he was there, and of course, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay. So I felt bad. That job, I liked the job because I liked what I was doing when I actually got to do the work. But the people I would work for, I worked for, and the people I would go do work for, it was just like, this fucking sucks. These people are making me feel like shit. I already go out and feel like shit when I'm bombing on stage and all that stuff. I don't even 100%. Feel like shit for the whole day. Right? So,
that is so real, Shain. Yeah. That is so real. Yeah. There has to be some corner of your life where you're at least getting slightly affirmed. Otherwise, what are we doing? Because you don't have the ability to pour from an empty cup. And when you're on stage, in order to accept the bomb, and no one knows what that feels like except for the people that have done it. You think you know what it feels like to bomb on stage until you actually bomb, and then you're like, no idea. Oh, this is the worst feeling in the actual world. But you can't. You don't have the ability to bounce back from that and not book a red-eye flight immediately after, unless you have some corner of your life where you're like, well, here they don't disrespect me. I can't imagine just eating. Yes. Yeah. Even because it can be too much on our romantic partners too. If we're like, if they represent the only safe space, it's like that will tear down a relationship too, though, because that can't hold the weight.
It really will.
Yeah.
If you're not careful, that's dumping a lot on them.
Yeah.
You're emotionally, you're just dragging them through all this. They're trying to be as supportive as they can, but man, it's already draining enough to be with a comic.
Hello.
And then you dump all that other stuff on top of it. Dump all that other stuff on there. It's like, wow.
Too much.
Okay.
It's too much.
Right.
What's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do whilst on the clock at any of these jobs? Besides be held up at the front desk while a racist white woman tries to interrogate you.
The weirdest thing I was asked to do? Oh man. Well, it's nasty. It's not weird.
Tell me.
I forgot what it was. I think I was working at a Chili's.
Okay.
I was working at Chili's.
You got asked to go on the walk-in with someone?
No, that's not even weird. That was just, hey, that was a different time, man. It was just young love. I found out that I was an accomplice in a drug deal.
Woo!
After the fact. This is Memphis. This is Shelby County. So there was a lot of grimy stuff. I worked at Chili's, but this was when I was still like a busboy dishwasher in the back, right?
Okay.
So the back of the house in restaurants, famously known for just having the weirdest but most awesome, dangerous cast of characters.
Yes.
So there's a whole different world back there.
You're always thinking, I'm going to die tonight if I cross the wrong person.
But also the funniest motherfuckers
ever
in the restaurant.
That's right.
And they're not allowed to go up front, right? Because of that. And I was always young blood. Hey, young fella. Hey, young guy, help me out real quick. So there was a guy. Who worked back there. He was one of the cooks. I want to say, sorry. I want to say his name was Jameson or something like that. Old big black dude, kind of like the fatherly uncle type for everybody back there, right? Oh, it wasn't Chili's. It was Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttery Soul. That's where I was working.
How did you leave this out of your jobs?
I forgot about it.
Hot Buttery Soul.
Isaac Hayes had a short-lived restaurant. It was a soul food restaurant. It was on Beale Street in Memphis, our famous street, bro.
Yeah.
And I was working there as a busboy / dishwasher. And I'll tell you a funny story about meeting Isaac Hayes after that. But the guy, he was just like, hey, man, can you run down to the park? Because it was attached to a mall and a park structure. Run down to the parking structure real quick. My niece is here, and she's dropping off some clothes for me so I can go out. I don't have to go home right after. I was like, all right, I'm going to take my smoke break anyway. I'll do that. I go out there, and there's a car, and there's just all 4 dudes. And I walked past, and he was like, the one guy in the passenger, he was like, you're Shain. I was like, yes. He's like, oh, here you go. And he handed me a bag. It was like a Kroger bag, grocery store bag, plastic bag with clothes in it. I was like, oh, okay, that's for so-and-so, bet. He's like, yeah, make sure he gets those clothes or gets that stuff. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to just smoke real quick, and then I'll be in there. And they were like, you going to smoke right now? And I was like, yeah. And I smoked a cigarette. And they sat there the whole time, which I thought was weird, just watching me. But they were also chilling and all that stuff. Because the minute I got in the elevator to go back up to the restaurant, I could hear their car leaving. So I get back into the kitchen, and I give him the stuff. He's like, come with me real quick. And we go into one of the lockers, and he opens the bag. I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's unfolding his clothes, and he unfolds packs. There's packs of, it's just weed. Oh. But there's like, packs in a shirt. But they were like big, they were like bricks.
Bricks. Oof.
He's like, I appreciate it. He's like, you know what? That was a test. You a good dude, young fella. I appreciate it. And he reached in his pocket, he broke off like a couple $20 bills, $60, and he gave it to me, and I'm like, hell yeah. And I went home.
You're a dope boy without knowing it. Like,
yeah, I did. That's what my roommate was like, damn, man. He's like, you in the game now. I was like, I'm not in the game. I just wash dishes. That's all. I'm just helping out a friend, But
famous last words.
I met Isaac Hayes because I was working there right when they opened. So for the grand opening, for the soft opening, Mr. Hayes came through after we were done training, right? And this was I was in college, might have been sophomore, freshman or something like that. Yeah, maybe freshman or sophomore. But I was heavy in this. I was heavy in the South Park, and I'm one of the younger guys working there. So my point of reference for Isaac Hayes was, you are chef.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's walking, shaking everybody's hand. We're all in line. He's like, all these old people, I call them old, they're probably like my age, and they're like 30, something like that. They're like, oh, I love your album, or I was raised on this. And he gets to me, I'm like, man, you're shit. I love South Park. I was like, can you please say it one time? And the higher-ups were like, chill, man, chill. I was like, no. I was like, please. Chef is my favorite character of all time. He's like, relax. He's like, hello, children. I was like, fuck yeah, you was a man. He's like, I like you. I was like, hell yeah.
I love that so much. And I love that you got him to say it. How long did you work at Hot Buttery Soul?
Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttery Soul. I worked, it was a whole summer. I worked there for a whole
Which is a lifetime.
Because it was the summer between my, I remember it was the summer between my freshman and sophomore year of college, I think. Or sophomore. sophomore and junior. It all blends down, but it was a whole summer. I remember that. Yeah.
And your career as a dope boy, was it just that one bag exchange?
Allegedly.
Okay. How many more times were you asked to go pick up stuff from the parking lot, sir?
Ooh, man, so many times.
Okay. We'll move on.
Well, no, I mean, once I became a comic, you end up being in a situation where it's like, hey, what do you got? Everybody's going to the bathroom right now. What are we doing? Oh, okay. Yeah.
And everybody's coming out like just so excited. Yeah. It's like, why do we all
ready to rip up this mic?
Imagine blowing lines
before. In the hallway at the store. Let's go stand in the parking lot at the store forever for no reason. Let's do that
and be high. Yeah.
Did any of you guys get on the potluck list? No. Let's stand here for 4 hours. Cool. Let's do that instead of try to go get up anywhere else.
Let's be
gargoyles on this patio. Fuck.
Crying. Listen, if you know, you know. I worked at the store. I have. We could go back and forth for a while. Yep. Okay. So that's pretty weird. Was there ever an incident that made them ask to speak to your manager? Not an incident where the manager caught you eating nugs in the freezer, but I mean like where a customer was like, "Give me your manager."
Oof. I don't think so. I don't think
you seem pretty agreeable.
I don't think I had the quintessential. I want to speak to. You get that vibe sometimes.
Sure.
Like, oh, here comes a real let me speak to your manager type.
Sure.
But no, I don't think anyone's ever been like, I want to speak, and then I had to go get them. So
you're lucky.
I'm sure it happened a lot. I'm sure it did, but
you weren't a part of it. Okay, good.
Nope.
All right. What was the last straw that got you out of a job? Not a job where you were fired, but a job where, and not in Heart Attack Alley, but like a job where you were like, burn it down, get me out of here. Like, was there ever a moment where you're like, I'm walking off the job right now because of either disrespect or having had it, or did you mostly just like quietly ghost and leave?
Ooh, like have I ever like just walked out?
Yeah. And I don't mean after like those where you were like the training shift sucked and then I decided to be done. I mean like I'm in an emotional state and I'm leaving.
Oh, like, yo, I quit. Like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
I'm so out.
I think I was too much of a coward to do that. Like, that sounds bad. That sounds like I would. In my head, I've done that a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Yeah. But no. There you go. Bless you.
Sorry, they were coming. I was trying to suppress them. Okay.
I get it.
Oh, it's good. This is as hot as I've ever looked. Tell your single friends.
It feels good. It feels good when you sneeze because I know that feeling. So I feel it.
Proxy
too.
Feel good. Okay, thank you for affirming this, Shane. Appreciate you. Okay. Yeah. Have you ever told a customer to F off or like been rude, or because you don't seem like that type? Have you ever done the passive aggressive like, okay, I'll get you anything you want, but you're actually kind of playing a little game and being a little bit rude to anybody?
Oof.
Because you were pretty direct with that secretary chick. You were direct. You were like, straight up, this has been filming this. You made me late. So that's direct.
That came later in life.
Yeah. But I mean, when you're
post-military, older, more mature. Yeah. And no, because when I was young and it was like hot buttery soul and chilies and all that, like I was still too much of a scared little boy. Like, I was never a tough guy or anything. I don't like confrontation. I didn't back then. So I think I would always just kind of get run over by a customer and then probably just go cry or be pouting.
Bless you. Same. So relatable.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I do it now with I think I do it now. I've dealt with some bookers.
Huh?
But it's not customer service though.
Well, I think people need to know.
I deal with. There's an audience member count that feels like they need to come up to you and talk to you about what they just saw.
Yes, talk about it.
I'm king petty at that moment. Like, first of all, why are you talking?
Yeah.
Like, second of all, like I didn't ask you to come.
Can you give, for people that don't do comedy, can you give context for what you're talking about right now?
Sometimes people feel like they feel like they need to come and tell you what they thought about you or your act after a show.
Yep.
And
not in a positive way.
Yeah. So sometimes it's positive and that's cool, but more often than not, it's it's not.
That's right.
And when someone's drunk, like I've had a lot of drunk bros afterwards when I maybe didn't go to a bar further enough away from the venue because I don't like to stick around. I was like, damn, I thought maybe 2 blocks was far enough away where I wouldn't see people. But you'd always see the guys. It's like, hey, you're the comedian, man. Man, I thought you were okay. You were pretty funny, Like I think you would have said, if it was me, I would have done this, or like, who's really funny, so and so. You should be more like them. And it's someone who is not like me at all. I'm like, cool. That I won't attack you, and I won't be like, oh yeah, is that what you think? Go fuck. No, I won't do that. It's the people who are just very matter of fact. Right after the show, especially when you work in a club.
Yeah.
If you're standing around waiting to get pets afterwards, where me in my career right now, it's like unless I'm working I go out with Kyle Kinane is a buddy of mine, and I go out with him on the road, and it's great. And as a part of the deal, he's like, if I have to stand out there,
you do too,
and shake hands and sell T-shirts, you need to stand right next to me. I was like, I fucking hate you. Right?
You're like, I don't want to open for you anymore. Fuck you.
But also, thank you very much, and I'm glad we're friends. And
I will cash this check. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It happened. We were at the Punchline in Sacramento. There was a lady who came up afterwards, and she was just like, you were very funny, but do you really think you need to be as vulgar as you are on stage?
People used to laud Cosby because he didn't work blue, and it's like, yeah, and he was drugging and raping women. Please, Seinfeld dated a high schooler, and he worked clean too. Miss me on that.
Still working.
Married that high schooler. Sorry, keep going. I'll let you talk. I cannot.
Comedians and cars commit crime. The funny thing is, I was like, that's interesting because like I don't work super blue, but blue for people who don't know is like a lot of cussing and vulgarity. Even the content I thought it's not. I'm PG-13 at the most.
I bet
not on purpose, but it just happened.
Yeah.
So she was just like, well, there's one joke. Why I say the N-word in it? And she's like, you're funny enough. Do you really think you need to say that? I was like, well, no offense, ma'am, but I think out of anyone here, I'm probably allowed to say it the most. She's like, but the whole time you're up there, she's like, I was enjoying so much of what you were saying, and then just that one time you said it, it really just threw me for a loop, and I thought, wow, he's a lot better than that. And the host was standing I could see him like making eye contact with me and trying to like hold it in. And I kind of look at my peripheral, and I see Kyle just kind of like, whoop, just turn his back away, like walking away.
Look, you, Kyle. He's like, Shane's got it.
I didn't lay into it, but the thing about it was her husband was standing there too, and he was standing behind her and was looking at me just like,
I hate this. I married her. I get it.
He kept shaking my hand the whole time. He was talking. He's like, hey, good stuff. And it kept trying to move. She's like, if you keep going with all this, maybe take it out of your vocabulary because I shouldn't have to tell you how nasty of a word. Like she's still talking to me
as she's leaving
her away. And I was just like, thank you so much for your support, your continued support. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Can I guess her race?
Oh, please.
I bet she looks a lot like me.
That's right. She was Scandinavian.
White.
You know what they say about them? Yeah.
Well, that's a bummer. And I think, it's often that we don't realize that, especially in this art form, it's the one where you're sort of in people's souls because they identify with something you say. And so they think they know you. And so there's that like sort of boundaryless, I get to comment on this because I think I'm being helpful. Like I often don't think it's malicious, but I think for male comics, I can't speak for you guys, but I feel like it's the first time you guys are getting mansplained to about something that this person knows nothing about. And like as female comic, it's just like, yeah, it's annoying, but it's like, yeah, but we're getting mansplained to as soon as we leave the threshold of our houses. It's like, oh, get ready to get something explained to you. And so I think our tolerance for it, whilst still very low, is kind of just like, okay. And I think, I can't speak to it, but I feel like because you guys are getting told how to do something from people who you already know more than the person explaining it to you, that's what's so exhausting.
Yeah, and I don't complain about it at all because I have so many women comic friends who I've heard the shit that that dudes or other women or even fucking other comics will say to them after a set.
Yep.
And I'm just like, fuck that, man. Like, I ain't complaining. At least no one's trying to fucking slick touch me on my lower back when we're taking pictures. Well, I mean, there are, but not as much as you guys get it. And so I'm just like, yeah, I get hit with this stuff sometimes. I'll come home and just kind of complain to the wife or just like a buddy when we're talking shit. But like, you know, I salute, you know, all you guys out there for having to deal with that, because man, I put hands on someone and get fired from stand-up comedy
where there's no boss. Yeah, no, and you don't come across as like as if you don't get it. I didn't mean to make it seem like you clearly get it.
Yeah. It's funny because my wife said the same thing too. She's like, yeah, that's what it's like to get mansplained to. Yeah. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, oh shit. Oh man, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
And you're like, well, I'm not going to explain to you anything right now because I'm humbled.
I get it.
Thank you. Okay. Have you ever worked a job where bodily fluids have been on you that were not your own?
Yes, I was in the military.
That's what I figured. I don't want to. The normal question is how many bodily fluids have been on your person whilst on the clock, and I figured because of military, I'm like, I'm going to change the wording so you can choose to answer that.
No,
or not.
I mean, it's not as grim as. Of course, you think about that first part, but yeah, also it's just like I remember when there was. All right, so I was on this deployment. And this is before Crocs were big. Crocs were a thing, but the only people that wore them were like, they issued those to us. I was in, I forgot where I was. I think it was Iraq. And like where we were living, your berthing area where the bunks and all that stuff are, was a good 50 yards away from where the shower stations and all that were. And so it's just like, if you wore flip-flops, you know, it's hot, your flop will come off, you'll burn yourself on the ground. So everybody's getting Crocs, right? So you get these Crocs, and I remember I went, got my shower stuff, and I went over there, I got in the shower, and I'm standing there in the shower, and then the piping I guess the water started flooding up above the thickness of the heel of the Croc.
Oh, that makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, and then it really backed up, and now I'm up to like the midpoint of my shins.
No, Shane.
And so I was immediately like, I couldn't jump out fast enough and grab a towel and get out of there.
Nope.
By the time I got out and I looked down, I mean, what you would expect to come up from the drains where maybe a couple hundred dudes are sharing the same dozen showers. Just, I don't have a lot of leg hair, but I can tell you the leg hair I have, it caught a lot of it. From men all across the country, in between my toes. And the Crocs, you see with the Crocs, it just, if I was wearing flip-flops, I think it would have just cascaded off my foot a little bit more. But the Crocs with the circles, it held it in there real good.
I'm going to be sick.
You ever try to separate, like strain something?
Stop. We get it, Shane. We get it. God. That stayed in that's disgusting. Did you ever figure out, was it just like a blocked pipe?
It was just it was just something happened with the drainage, and then it just happened. It didn't happen to just me, because I heard a lot of other people scream around the same time.
Well,
and I don't think anybody else had a good laugh as much as I did about that. That was, I mean, once I went to medical and got a bunch of shots, tetanus shots and all that stuff, then I was able to relax. Because it was mandatory. They were like, any personnel that was in that little thing that happened, you need to go to medical right now because you have to get shots. Because if you would have had open wounds on you, anything, it's like you're, contaminated.
Because human excrement is not the business on your body. You're not meant to. Yeah, it's like the people drinking pee. I'm like, what? Anyway, that's impressively disgusting. You win.
Thank you.
That's great. So we're gonna move on. Do you tip?
Do I tip? Probably more than I should.
Okay, how much? What's your average?
I overtip.
Yeah.
I overtip. Well, now isn't it like now when they turn the thing towards you, on average 20% is up there.
Yeah.
Right. And what I used to do when it was 15 was I would just do a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now when it's 20, I'm just like, it feels too easy to just hit the button, So sometimes I'll just hit other and maybe just do $1 more than the thing because for some reason I feel like they're gonna know this guy's he's not just hitting buttons. He knows he was in the trenches. He's gonna
you want to be identified. I get it. I'm the same way.
I don't know I don't know what that says about me being that needy.
I am too. So be careful.
Right? Because I want to know, like, hey, man, like
I get it.
I did it. I understand.
Yeah, I'm that needy too. I get it.
The people at Starbucks seem to be the most not phased
at all
about it. They don't seem impressed when I tip.
What a waste.
I want you to be impressed with me.
No question. I'm the same way. I'll make it a big to-do that I'm typing stuff in so that I type with big fingers. Yep, that's it. You can see it's the ludicrous arms that I'm like,
Oh, God, you recently brought them back.
I know. That's why I brought it up. I saw it at the baseball game. I was so excited. Okay, do you ever not tip? Is there ever a situation where you're like, where you can think of where you just, so what if someone's openly disrespectful?
Oh shit! Well, there was a lady here, a bartender. I don't know the culture. The culture in the Pacific Northwest for bars in Seattle, I found this to be true, and in Portland particularly, is bartenders they're assholes. They're rude.
Is that a thing?
They're rude pieces of shit, and they are here. Yes, it is a thing. It's a culture thing. They neg you. I don't know why. Shout out to the ones I know. They're nice. But only because I guess they break character because we're friends. But I've seen them be dicks to other people. But
that ain't it. And they're trying to get tips?
They're trying to get tips. And this lady, she got a tip for me. And boy, it was like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to tip you even though you don't deserve it. And I was telling my buddy about this. He's like, you sure showed her. I was like, fuck, I know. She won. But it was before a show. I was at a bar just kind of writing, going over some notes. And I had maybe two beers and a little side of fries just to sit there and munch. I'm on my book. I'm writing. It's like 5 p.m. because the show's at 7. So I'm just chilling. The bar is damn near empty. There's me and then 2 gentlemen sitting down at the end of the bar, and that is it. So the bartender, she's been dealing with me the whole time while she's cleaning stuff, prepping for the night, blah blah blah. Time goes for me to check out. I gave her my debit card. 2 beers, little side of fries. Maybe $12. Card reader, she's like, do you have another card? I'm sorry, it says it's declined. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, that card is wonky. Sorry about that. I was like, did you do the chip reader or she's like, I did it all. The machine's wonky sometimes. It's not your card. Real back and forth. Oh, okay, it happens. Well, I take out my other debit card. Try this. While she's trying that, I look at my bank account for the first card. I'm like, I got plenty of money in there. I look at the other one. I was like, I got money in here. I'm watching her. Decline again. And now she's not as, oh, well, yeah. She's just like, this one's bad too. She said it was bad. I was like, that's real strange. I was like, can you swipe it? I was like, and I turned my phone and just showed her my bank account, like with my family account, all that stuff. I was like, see, she's like, I don't know what to tell you. I was like, you know what? Let me try this. Because I don't really know what's going on. I was like, she goes, well, no, she didn't tell me her card reader was wonky. I said my card was wonky. She goes, after the second card, she goes, the reader's been fine all day, so I don't know what to tell you. So I take out my credit card to pay $12, which I have on all these cards. I have enough to pay way more than $12. Not the flex, but I have some money.
You have $25 in those accounts,
at least 26.
Listen.
I give her my card. I'm watching her swipe it. And now the 2 guys that have been sitting at the end of the bar, not that they're ear hustling, but there's no one else in there. So they're kind of privy to what's happening. Now they could see she's making a show of it, right? And I'm watching her and she doesn't even come back down my way. She just turns and looks at me and just holds the card up and shakes her head no. And I'm like, now I'm embarrassed, but I'm also very confused. And I asked her again, I was like, are you sure the reader is fine? She's like, it's fine. I'll reset it, but I don't think it's the system. I was like, okay. So she gives me the card and I'm sitting there on my phone and I got my wallet and she goes back down and she's resetting it. And the 2 guys are looking at her and she's kind of looking down. I'm like, this motherfucker is trying to talk. She's trying to make me feel bad. Like I don't have, like there's a problem with me. I'm looking on my accounts. I'm like, the money's there. Maybe there's a freeze because I just got back I was on the road. sometimes you swipe your card and they'll freeze your shit. I was like, but they can't freeze both my bank accounts, 2 different bank accounts, and a credit card. What's going on? So she comes back. She's like, so what are we going to do here? I go, I don't have any cash, but do you have an ATM? She's like, there's an ATM 2 blocks down, coincidentally enough, at the venue I was going to be at, where the show was going to be. I was like, okay, well, and she's like, but that's all the way over there. So I do this. I have my wallet, all the cards, driver license, and my phone. I take my debit card. I was like, see this card I gave you here? That was the first one. I know there's money on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass you my phone and my wallet with all of my identification, my driver's license, and all that. You hold on to this. I'm going to go to that building you're talking about. I'm going to go get this cash, and I'll be right back. And she kind of backs away from. I was like, I'm giving you permission to touch my stuff. You have all of me. I even put my car keys there. I was like, but I'm going to go just to show you that I have money on this and that it might be your card reader. I'll be back. I leave. A buddy of mine is actually working the bar. I walk in. I was like, bro, you won't believe this shit. This lady's trying to make me feel like a broke-ass bitch. She's trying to embarrass me. I was like, real quick, before I hit the ATM, swipe my card, charge me for a shot. He's like, okay. Swipes the card. He's like, it's fine. I was like, cool. I take the shot, tequila, and I go to the ATM. I pull out like 70, 80, well, not 70, I pull out like $80, $100, whatever. And I got my boy to give me change. I was like, bro, break this all down to like 5s and 10s for me. And he gives me a bunch of money. I go back in there, and I got the money. I was like, here you go. And she still kind of has like an attitude. I was like, real quick, before I gave her the money, I got my stuff back, and I didn't give her the money. I was like, real quick, do you mind if we test something? She's like, I asked her, did you reset your stuff yet? She's like, actually, no, I didn't do that yet. I was like, cool. And I was like, sirs, like the 2 guys sitting right there, fabulously hot gay dudes that were, yeah. I was glad they were there. The guy goes, I was like, did you mind, can you do a little experiment with me? I was like, I know you heard this whole interaction, you've seen this whole thing. He's like, oh, I've seen it. And I was just like, can you do me a solid? It looks like you guys are getting ready to leave. Are you going to pay with your card? Yeah, we're going to pay. And it was a black dude. He's like, I'm right there with you. I already know what you're about to do. Let's get it. So he gave her the card. I was like, and you didn't reset the system yet? She's like, no, not yet. She swipes it, decline. The guy sitting next to him, gave him a card, swipes it, decline. She's like, oh, well, and I go, well, maybe the system was wrong. Maybe there was something wrong with your system. And one of the guys was like, yeah, we thought something was wrong with the machine the whole damn time, and blah, blah, blah. She's like, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sorry. She's like, you know what, that's on me. Don't even, she didn't want me to pay. I was like, no, it's all right. I'm going to pay for it. And I just started ripping off a couple bills. And I think I put about 50 down. I was like, here, this is for you. This is to cover the $12. And then the rest, you hold on to all of that. And next time someone comes in and you swipe all their cards, stop and think for a second that maybe the machine is broke, and don't try to make them feel less than at your little bar. I was like, I got to go. And I left. So that's the one time where I tipped when I shouldn't have. But I also felt like I wanted to get on my soapbox real quick, because once I knew that these fellas saw what was going on, I was like, well, this is a teachable moment. All right. We need to let this lady know that you just can't do this. All right. So, and I told my buddy later on, he was like, yeah, you sure taught her. You gave her what, like a $30 tip off some $12 stuff. I was like, yeah, after the fact, I could have taught her with less of a tip, but I just want her to know that I have the money for little stank ass fries, you know?
But also, like, and I don't know how you are not just choking on rage all the time, because you've casually well, you should be. You've casually without saying that things are related to race, like you've told stories that it's like, no, that's rooted in actual racism, because what she was doing was, if you were a white dude, I mean, now we don't know, right? But like Portland's supposed to be this liberal bastion, and it's like you as a person of color, like then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here we go. And it's like, you know, they're to have to overcompensate. You're not the first guest to share as a person of color overcompensating for the stereotyping and the racism and the whatever. But it's like, how do you not feel exhausted and filled with rage all the time? Like, I just would have yelled.
I just am. Yeah. I am. It's after a while, you have to just kind of, unfortunately, if I want to get anything done and be productive or just live a life,
Yeah.
then it's just like I can only sit and see for so long unless I change my surroundings, which I don't think I'm going to be moving from Portland in the next day or two. But
sure. But you were
my wife and I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Portland that you've had these stories from. I mean,
yeah, it's like we play this fun because my wife she's also a mixed race. She's a half black, half white, the OG remix, as I like to say, and so
stupid.
But we play this game all the time where we're just like, if so, then where? Like, where will we move? If so, okay, where will we go? And then we're like, well, it still sucks there. It's still there's what's the least amount, or what kind of racism are we willing to deal with?
Oh my God.
Depending on the weather, I guess. I don't know. David Borey pleaded a pretty good case on the last walk we were taking. Where he's like, fuck it, move to Denver. You know, it's a lateral move from Portland, but hey, at least we have the football team, and the white people out here seem to be less pretentious than Portland people, and we're both like, yeah, you're probably right there.
Yeah, probably equal racism, but less pretension would be less annoying, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. The elevation is better. I don't know.
Yeah,
something like that.
You'll start biking or get healthier. Who knows? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's such a wildly helpful story, and I love you're so clever that you're like, I'm going to make so many points that as I'm leaving, I'm going to be doing a shot and you will be running my card and it will work. And like, you're just like dining on just desserts. Like, I love those stories.
Gotta keep it moving. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question in this section. Who's the worst customer you've ever had to interact with? Or if you can't think of one story, the archetype of who the worst customer would be.
The person who's clearly there to I guess to make I'm speaking of I can only think about service industry stuff because that's the stuff that's like popping into my head the most. Someone who's there to speak down to the person that's helping them.
Yep.
You know, your waiter, your wait staff, your bartender, whoever it is. I mean, there's an amalgamation of these types of customers I've dealt with in the past, where it's just like, are you this mean or this rude or do you talk down to people like this in your life, or you just wait until you come to Olive Garden to do that? Like, what?
It's a great question.
How little power do you have in your day to day, maybe at your job or in your personal life, to where you're just like, I know where I can go to display my power, somewhere where someone has to listen to me, literally have to take my order and bring me what I desire.
Yep.
It's those types of customers. And I've seen it. It's weird. I've seen it where I've seen the turn. Not all of those people, or you can see them coming and they're like, I guess mean, or I'm not going to say they're not bad people because that's a bad thing to do. So you might be a piece of bad person, but like, I've seen people go from being sweet and nice to me as the performer, or whatever, and then just turn like somebody will come drop their check and be like, no, come over here. This, I didn't order this. This isn't mine. Like, you were just being so complimentary to me, and talking about how I remind you of their son or daughter, and you're just like, you fucking bitch. I didn't order jalapeno poppers. I want to talk to the man. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem?
Isn't it wild?
Man?
Yep.
That's insane to me. You know, I see people lose their shit at airports all the time. I'm like, bro, this lady doesn't own Delta. She's just checking you in. She's not Miss Delta.
This isn't Mr. Delta.
Like, it's not Mr. Delta. TSA, that's one thing, but I'm talking about when you're yelling at someone who's literally standing behind a counter at you. Like, what are you doing to them?
What are you doing?
They don't even know how to fly the damn plane. Shut your ass up and just go get on another flight.
That's it. What are we doing? What are we doing? I totally agree. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, now we're going to move on to the good stuff. We hope you saved room for dessert. All right. Of all of the jobs you can't count comedy, which was your favorite?
Can't count comedy.
No.
Okay. Can't count comedy. Favorite job has to be Laser Quest.
I was hoping it would come back. Yeah.
Laser Tag Arena in Shelby County, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, just a stone's throw away from the University of Memphis, my alumni. I love that job.
Okay.
I went from a laser technician, which is a very coveted position,
Yep,
to a assistant manager, to a manager, and I worked at that job on and off all the way through college, like on and off. That's how cool. They let me leave. I come back. And I even got so good at, I don't know, being a manager of teenagers or whatever, that corporate, which is in Ontario, Canada, was just like, you can come work at the corporate offices if you want. We'll put you on like some sort of like track to be, I don't know. I don't even know what they do in the corporate, but you can be a corporate laser guy or whatever. So like I got the opportunity to, once I graduated from college, to move to Ontario.
Wow.
And work in Laser Quest's corporate offices because I was just killing it so hard.
Listen,
at their place.
Spending a lot of time flexing on this podcast. Proud of you, Shain.
I was like, sorry guys, I'm not corporate lasers. I'm military grade laser. I need to go out there and defend freedom and democracy.
I stepped on you saying the full name. Can you say this? Give us the full name again.
It's Laser Quest, and the tag is North America's premier laser tag.
Love it. And that's why North America, and they didn't say the United States because they're in Ontario. We get it now.
Inclusive.
They are inclusive. What's the nicest thing a customer has done for you whilst you were working?
The nicest thing a customer's ever done for me.
You can also say a fan. We'll allow it.
Okay. No, I'll stick with the non-comedy related thing. I think there was a lady. This was at Hot Buttery Soul.
We love Isaac Hayes' restaurant.
There was a lady the whole time. I was waiting on her, and I think there was a small little corner booth. It was a Sunday service, so these folks, they were all dripped. Southern Church is the whole thing, so they were draped up, dripped out. Nice lady. She just kept looking at me in such a way like she's seen me before. She's trying to figure it out. And at the very end of the meal, I come by and I was like, I hope you guys had a nice day, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I know who you are. I was like, excuse me? She's like, she's like, did you have a little brother and your daddy was in the Navy, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yes. She's like, did you live in so-and-so? I was like, yes. She's like, y'all had a little shed in your backyard. It was like a standalone shed. I was like, yes. She's like, I was your neighbor, your backyard neighbor. We split a fence. She's like, my boys used to come and play basketball on your street because on my street you had a bunch of basketball hoops. I was like, oh, okay. She's like, you know how I know you? She's like, when y'all moved, they didn't sell the house for a while. It was a rental. And, neighborhood kids be neighborhood kids. They went into that shed, and my dad forgot to empty everything out. And one of those things he forgot to empty was this huge box, which I hate. It was this huge box that I had since I was a little kid. Remember I told you my dad, when he first brought home a VHS tape, I fell in love with making home movies. I had years and years since I was a little boy, single digits, all the way up to when we left that house when I was like high school age, of these like home movies and skits and all these stuff in that box. She's like, my boys brought that back home. She's like, and I would come home from work and they'd be in their room just laughing it up because they were watching. She's like, you used to make videos with little Legos and they were like stop motion stuff. And you and your brother used to do, you call it stuntman, and you would like ride your bikes into the recycling and the trash cans and stuff. She's like, I have videos and videos of you and your brother and your friends just doing all these crazy things. She's like, and my boys used to bring people over and they would watch, not to make fun. She's like, but they were so funny. She's like, what is your address? She's like, we still have those and I can bring those to you. And I start like, I'm crying.
I would have cried. I'm crying right now.
And one guy was in the booth. He's like, that's not the boy. She's like, this is the boy. He's like, he looks older because time has moved on.
I love Southern black women.
Yeah. And you know what? And I gave her my cell phone number, and it took a couple of weeks. But like her son hit me up because we were roughly around the same age. He's like, man, these are some funny ass videos, man. He's like, I don't know what you're doing now, but you should still be doing this shit. And he gave, and like I've since given some of those videos to my brother, and lost them along the way, but I still have a few. But if it wasn't for that lady, like my whole childhood was in hours and hours of these VHS tapes and then small little DVDs when I moved on to that of, what ended up being some of the stuff I've done now. Like I've written and got uncredited writing stuff for sketches and stuff, and I still write stand up, but I do screenplays and scripts. It's like I was doing that as a little dude, not knowing that that's kind of what I wanted to do.
And
so that's the nicest thing. She gave me back my childhood, basically, my past.
Oh my God. And the universe was pushing you.
Didn't tip me shit. I'm just kidding. She was nice too. That's very nice too.
God bless a poignant moment that a comic can't let sit in poignance. It's like, no, I'm gonna ruin this. That is so sweet. And I think that the universe kept edging you along no, that's the wrong word. Pushing you along. Yeah, there we go. To just do this. So you kept getting little kernels that were like, no, you're in the right direction. Keep going, which we're desperate for. We're just so desperate for this. The signs of like, am I wasting my time? Because you do 15 mics in a week or what? No, I never did that many, but you do a bunch of mics in a week and you're like, what am I doing? Like, what is this for? What's my end goal?
I need the universe to keep edging me right now because I'm still doing. I'm here. I got an album getting ready to drop. I'm talking to you. We're talking about some comedy shit and all that. And in the back of my mind, I'm still just like, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say when I woke up this morning, I was thinking like, what am I gonna do? Like I can't. I need to write a new bit. I need to get on stage. Do people even care about like? I'm glad I got to talk. I think you today were my little part of that. You helped me edge today.
I hate myself for using that word.
You helped me edge.
God damn it, Shane.
And I told my wife, she was like, how was the interview with Kate? I'm like, you know what? I needed some edging. She edged me today. And I got to talk comedy. You let me reminisce about the old days. I got to be talking about jobs that I'm so glad I don't have no more. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thank you for edging.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. And to continue, we're almost to completion, so we are almost going to finish. We have 2 questions left. What is the best lesson you have personally learned from working in customer service?
That whole saying that the customer is always right is bullshit. That's not right.
That's even the wrong quote. That's right.
That's not true. The best lesson I've learned from working in customer service is you don't need this job.
Ooh! Come on, Shane.
This job doesn't matter.
Come on, Shane.
It doesn't matter because it's plug and play. Like you will be miserable at another customer service type job no matter what. Like all these jobs are temporary.
That's right.
And they're never going to not have someone to work for them temporarily.
That's right.
Use them the way they're using us. They're stepping on you for a couple hours for a little money. Step on them to jump to, unfortunately, probably another shitty stepping stone. But just if you keep jumping, you're going to get to a higher one. So, yeah, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for some of the folks. Like we were saying, like, hey, I worked with a bunch of ex-cons in some of these fast food places and back of the house guys. It's like, look, sometimes you'll make some decisions in life and you fuck up. But if your bounce back is to having to work in those places because you can't get nowhere else, I understand that. I'm not shitting on those people's circumstances, but I'm speaking to just the regular dumb dipshit country bumpkin from Millington, Tennessee. Like, buddy, you don't have to hold on to those gigs.
Nope.
And let them make you feel bad. You can just keep it pushing. There'll be other gigs.
Keep your foot on their neck. That's right. There will be other gigs. Yeah. All right. Last question. What's one piece of advice you would give to customers who interact with customer service workers?
Don't be a dick.
There it is.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
There's no reason for that. 9 times out of 10, the person that you're talking to, they had nothing to do with why you have to talk to them at all.
That's right.
I forgot. I don't know somebody has a bit. I don't know who it was. Oh, I think it might be Sean Jordan. You know Sean Jordan? He's a very funny comic. He lives up here too. He has a bit where he talks about he worked in customer service for a long time, and he's just like, no one ever called. And before I picked up the phone, I thought, oh yeah, well, I'm pretty sure they're just going to call to ask me how I'm doing, if I'm having a good day. No one's ever calling you because things are going well. So for the customer, I would say that, hey, I know it's going to be frustrating, especially nowadays. You'll get a call and clearly someone's just reading the script and they're not really listening to you.
Yeah.
I've been there. I get frustrated. But the best thing you could do is to know that that person is probably not stoked about having that as a job.
Hello.
And you're not making it any easier on them.
That's right. That's right.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. I love it. Well, Shain, this was so lovely. How can people find you online? Remind us. I know you said it at the top, but give us the album details again. And how could just basically how can people see you be funny? Because you're very funny.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for talking to me today. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you being
this
here.
was really fun.
I'm so glad.
You never know how some of these things are going to go. We met each other literally at the start of this, and it was wonderful. And I salute you for fighting through.
Bless you.
Your
like Covina.
issue, your sickness.
Appreciate you. You made it easy.
I've been there.
Yeah.
The album's called Either Way. Pretty funny. I'm putting it out with the good folks over at Blonde Medicine Records. Shout out to you guys. It's available right now for pre-order on iTunes and Bandcamp and wherever you stream music and all that stuff. It officially drops September 27th, which is a Friday, I believe. And you know what? I just think that it would be pretty nice of you if you just took a listen to it. If you've ever made something before, then you know how cool it is to start something and then finish it. And then you also know how vulnerable it is to put it out there for people to look at it or take it in.
That's right.
And look, not to guilt anyone, but I have a 10-month-old son.
Do it. Lay it on.
I talked about him in the album.
Great.
And if you don't buy this, he's not going to get new diapers.
Well, that.
I'm not going to buy him any new diapers. I'm not going to buy him anything. If you don't buy my album, I won't buy him anything. I don't know what that means to you. I don't know if your listeners are experienced with what it takes to keep a child alive, but I won't do it if you don't buy my album on September 27th. I don't know what's going to happen with him. His name is Caleb. If you put a name, then they know. It's like his name is Caleb. I don't know what Caleb is going to do. If you right now listening don't get this album, follow me on Instagram at Shain Brenden to find out what happens to my son. Follow at Shain Brenden on Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. Sure, like and subscribe, mostly to see what happens to young Caleb.
What kind
of life is he going to lead?
Shain is a bad person. We're learning this in real time. Okay, well,
that's at the very end.
Help keep Caleb alive. Buy Shain's album. Pre-order helps him because it can get to number 1 on iTunes. Shain is lovely and horrifying. This poor child. Okay. Well, hopefully, did you do what DJ Khaled has done with his child and did you make your son a producer on your album?
Oof. You know what? That's going to have to be on the special. I didn't think about that.
You don't care about Caleb.
I thought you were going to say what DJ Khaled did and exploit his child.
Hello. Well, he's done that too. He's done both.
I go back and forth about it all the time. I can get my followers would go through the roof.
Through the roof.
I started posting
pictures
of this cute little boy who may or may not get things
may
after
or may not
the 27th of September. You guys don't buy the album.
Okay, well, let's give it up for Shain for coming to completion on both the podcast and his album. Yeah. Either way, pretty funny. Available now. Pre-order. Get him to number 1. And folks, we're going to drop your checks now. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us out here at Service from Hell, we'd love to have you subscribe, rate, and or review the show wherever you listen, but no one listens to this part. You're speeding through it anyway. It does help us reach more people that need to be schooled on the art of being kind. And guess what? It's catharsis for those of us still working in the industry. If you want to get in touch with us here at Service from Hell, send us your receipts to servicefromhellpodcast@gmail.com. I promise I read all the emails. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage. You also don't have to tip 400% on a bill like our friend Shain does. That's not expected. But don't be garbage and be good to people. It's easier that way. Thank you, Shain, for being here. You are lovely.
Thank you very much. This was great. Thank you so
appreciate you. Thank you, folks, for listening. Good night.